Before you skip this tutorial video, I want to mention that 8-7 is one of the most slept on levels in the any percent route because so many people think that this level is not that important to practice. However, many new runners lose a ton of time in this level, and even some of the high level runners are often getting unoptimal times in this stage. So now I am going to explain how you can prevent this from happening and always make sure that you get a good 8-7 in your any percent runs. The first thing to mention is the fact that you want to jump on the very left side of each of the 4 coasters as you land on them. Otherwise, they will not activate until you are further along the coaster, which is obviously going to be slower. Make sure that either on this first coaster or at the start of the second coaster, you grab a mushroom. It doesn't really matter which coaster you grab the mushroom on in most cases. Now, we can go ahead and skip these sections without any actual optimization to do. You can do whatever you want here. Just make sure not to fall off. You can often do like huge jumps that just make you go straight up to the top. So here, you're going to want to line up right here, and then you're going to want to do some jumps in a way similar to this. Now, your setup for this could vary in many different ways, but the most common way to do this section is to do a method called muffin triple. So what that means is you do a triple jump all the way up to the top section by lining up a double jump and getting a triple jump off of the platform. Now, for muffin triple, it's actually a very easy trick, so I'd recommend all runners to go for it as it's very simple to learn and saves 0.4 over doing a double wall jump instead. So you saw from all the different setups that there's many ways to approach this. You want to have as much momentum as possible jumping off the coaster so that you have as much speed as possible going into the triple jump. After you make the triple jump, you can land back on the platform. Now, this trick is called LCK, and although that is a slightly faster way to do this section, I'm not really going to explain it as nobody really goes for it outside of individual levels. For this next coaster, we're just going to be riding on it for a little bit, and then at this section, you're going to want to do a ground pound and jump off the very edge of the head. However, if you jump off the very edge of the head, like one of the last few pixels of it, then you will lose all of your momentum from the coaster, which will cause you to not make the jump and have to land back on the coaster. So make sure that that does not happen. Now, you don't actually need to do the ground pound, but it is much easier of a setup to jump off the second coaster and get to the pipe. Once exiting this pipe, you want to perform a trick called a pipe kick. So how you perform a pipe kick is, as soon as you exit the pipe, there are 2 main methods. The main one that's most commonly used that I see is you hold left once you're exiting the pipe, wait until Mario has finished his animation of exiting the pipe, and then do 2 quick jumps, one to move yourself up so that you can successfully wall jump, and the second one to actually perform the wall jump. Now, there's also another method where you can just hold left and mash. However, in both methods, after you get the kick, you're going to want to start holding right as soon as possible to have an optimal pipe kick. Obviously, once again, you want to land on the very left of the coaster, and then you just ride this coaster for a while. Make sure that after the mushroom, you do not grab any additional power-ups, as it will just slow you down as you grab a propeller in the next level anyway. Once you get to the end of this section, there are several different strategies you can use to jump off the coaster. One example is here, where you stay on the very left edge, and then you do a jump and then quickly jump off the very edge of the head over here. This is likely the fastest method as you get the most momentum. However, you can also just wing it from any other spot and it really won't be much slower. Just make sure that you are jumping off the coaster as soon as possible in order to land perfectly, to jump immediately and do 2 wall jumps, as you want to keep the coaster momentum for as long as possible. After the 2 wall jumps, land on the last coaster as soon as possible, and then you just wait for a while until you get to this part. Now, optimally for this section, you can stay at the very left here and then run to the right and jump off the very edge of the head. However, you can go slightly later if you do not feel confident with this strategy. You can also just wing it from any other spot on the coaster. There are different visual cues you can figure out. I'm not going to go into too much detail on different visual cues, as many of them can be used, and you don't even need to use a visual cue if you know the level well enough, and you can just see where stuff is, and you can jump at about the correct time anyway. I want to quickly mention that if you take damage from the last lava geyser, you can still make it to the flagpole, and the fastest backup for this happening is to grab a mushroom and a propeller in A-Airship, which I'll explain in a future tutorial. 339 is about the worst time you should expect in this level if you're going relatively quickly. Most of the time you should be getting a 340 with these strategies. However, if you're fast enough in each of these sections, a 341 is possible as well. Thank you for watching.